All right, traders, this is Christian from Hertz Tribeca Trade Group, and this is your recap for Tuesday, the 30th. We've got one day to Halloween. Tomorrow should be an interesting day for the market. Every day it's been pretty interesting, right? But we had a nice rally today. That's what we've been getting for the last 3 weeks, basically one day of the week where we've been rallying. We had this one day last week where we rallied off the lows. We had this day as well, which we bounced pretty nicely. This was Tuesday, this was a Thursday, and now we're back to Tuesday. So we did finish up 1.7%. I think the move in sectors was very constructive today. I'm going to go over some of those sectors. The other thing that I think which was nice, you can see S&P at 1.7% now on the day. And small caps are leading the way. They're up 2%. I've made a lot of mention to the small caps. I think they're closer to that weekly support, which I did put on a trade yesterday where I sold premium in the Russell 2000. That trade is starting to work very nicely. But here's just a quick chart of IWM versus SPY. So the relationship, small caps are in the numerator, SPY is in the denominator, and you can see small caps are starting to outperform a bit. So this is important to me. I think that IWM often leads market moves. And this has been, even though yesterday was a fade day, IWM has been trying to rally every day. And so, there's a couple things that are going on here, and I don't think that we're completely, we may not be completely out of the woods, but I think things are improving. I think the heavy selling that we've been seeing, there's been some selling programs. I don't know who the parties are, but you could feel it. Every day when a selling program comes in, the VIX spikes, and then it usually washes out. So I don't know if a fund could be a couple funds that have been in maybe a forced liquidation type things, and we'll hear about this probably in a couple weeks or a month. But it usually does happen when we have a pretty steep correction like this. Somebody gets to be a tragedy. Funds can't take that type of a move if they're too overweight. So we'll probably hear about that. Just a guess at some point in the next couple weeks. But I think that's been contributing. Then you kind of look at what's been going on too. I mean, I think so many investors have have eyes on high growth tech. And what I've been trying to do the last couple of weeks is basically look at this market objectively and see which sectors are going to outperform. I think retail investors as well as institutional have been hooked on the high growth areas of the market, and really that hasn't been where the market has been the last few weeks. So what were good signs today is some different areas started to outperform. The home builders, which it is what it is. We've been seeing a lot of call buying in this group. It just kind of took a little while for those trades to work out, but we've been seeing call buyers in Lennar. What's the other one? Pulte. We've seen some pretty steep call buying, and those are starting to work after really getting oversold. Look at the volume, by the way, in the XHB. So this XHB, by the way, it's called Home Builders, but it's really has a small portion of home builders in it. It's got a lot of, if you look to see the performers of this group today, I think what you'll find is that you have a lot of retail in here as well. So just a lot of beaten up retail that's been in this group as well. And let's see what the best performers. But I mean, it's a huge move, up 5%. That's a really nice bullish engulfing candle for the day. I mentioned this earlier. It's very difficult to talk about. Actually, Toll Brothers was the best performer in the group. AOS Smith also very strong. Masco was strong. Whirlpool, which has been strong, up 6.7. Fortune Brands, MHK, Owens Corning, all these names up over 6% today. So I think they were due. But man, look at that volume. I think that's the biggest volume. If you're looking for confirmation on a turn, I think you got it there. So this is just one group that started to outperform, which I think was constructive. Same thing with ITB. ITB actually has much more home builders in this ETF, even though it's called a home construction ETF. It's got about 60%. But this was a good signal. The small caps were a good signal for the day. And the semis, the semis, which a couple names have been reporting decent earnings, the semis were up 4% today. So that's pretty good too. all in all. So again, good market breadth today. Rather than seeing a bunch of more names make lows than highs. This has been giving me, finding what's been performing well and so forth is to me a lot better than looking at, different levels in the S&P. There's nothing wrong with that because that'll give you a sense of when the whole market is starting to move down and when to get out. But really for kind of a change in tide, I'm looking for different sectors to perform. What we've seen, has been a lot of defensives. Now I got out of my Walmart today. I just thought it was enough, but who knows? This thing finished up 2.6%. This was an awesome trade that we put on a couple weeks ago, and I was the first one on Twitter that I see out of anybody, if you go back in Twitter, who was talking about Walmart. Another one that we put on yesterday was Costco. I mean, all of retail has been doing pretty well. That's another call that we've been making. I mean, I put these trades on before everybody else has been talking about this stuff. So I'm very pleased when I'm that much ahead of the curve. But I put on Costco yesterday. I thought was just a name, considering that we've been seeing a pretty defensive rally up until today. I think Costco can go more to the upside. I ended up taking a target in this one, but it's definitely been, I mean, look at Walgreens, which is another name. So, while everybody's been kind of moaning about the FANG stocks going down, there's been plenty of opportunities in other names. And you could trade these names. There's nothing wrong. And again, that's what I try to get folks to do, is to kind of focus on the names that are going up rather than, the names that have been moving down, because I think there's been plenty of opportunities in some of these names. And again, you don't have to own 10 different names in this group. You just kind of pick one or two that have got the strength. Ross Stores has been doing very well. Nice move out of consolidation there. I talked about, and I put this chart on Twitter this morning. Goose, you got a nice move here, or nice bounce on the 200-day moving average. So I think certain names are starting to waken up, or wake up, I should say. One name that saw option activity today. It was funny. I put out free information all the time on Twitter, and somebody said, "Oh, it's probably a call seller." I mean, I don't know. Square was topped out at over $100. It's now at 68. So, what's going on in this chart? What do I see? A steep move back all the way down to the 200-day moving average support. It's kind of oversold into support. I mean, do you think somebody's selling calls now at this point, now that it's got support? If they are, and I don't know, some of the order flow that we see on the tape, I'm not talking to the person who traded them, but do you really think someone would be selling calls all the way down here? I went long. I'll tell you right now, I went long Square. And this is an easy trade, because if I've got support to tell me right here, if it doesn't work, I can get out right at the 200-day moving average, right? So again, I'm not sure that we're out of the woods yet. One day does not make a trend, but I like to see some areas of the market waking up a little bit. And I didn't rush into the market. This has been a process. You've heard me be very, the last few days just saying I don't like this market. Or the last week. And I've been trying to sit on my hands as much as possible and just kind of see what areas kind of let the market come to me. But to me, I like the market breadth, and I think things are starting to get better. Now, I don't know if there's more selling that's going to occur, but we can't avoid. I don't have a crystal ball, but I do like the different areas of the market starting to participate. A couple other names, and again, there's still some other names that I think look pretty healthy outside of high growth. Look at Coca-Cola. This is a big consolidation period. So you can look at this in terms of the weekly chart as well. And, you may want to, if you're looking for more confirmation, but I think it's really healthy that some areas of value outperform, and that you're not all locked in to growth names, to technology. It's not healthy to be all in one group. So this looks pretty good, I think, on using the weekly chart. It's trying to close above value. Let's see what that does at the end of the week. If it remains above, let's say 46.80, 46.90, but that would be pretty cool. What else do I have on my list to talk about? Comcast, which I mentioned. I think that was mentioned on the halftime show on CNBC. But really, the call buying was yesterday. There was a small order that went up today as well. But Comcast, what a great signal. I did not take this one. I've been picking spots in different names. I mentioned Costco. I mentioned how I sold Russell futures. I took a shot at AMD today too. Why would I do that? There's no call activity or anything like that, but I mean, look at where it is. It's at the 200-day moving average. It just reclaimed it today. It's pretty darn washed out. And if you take this big move out and just kind of look at where it was here, so I put on a call spread here in AMD. So I did a little bit more trading than normal. I also like the Home Depot setup. That's another quality name that has gotten pretty beaten up. But it's tough to really. I don't want to add tons. And this is a process, adding a little bit of risk at a time, into a steep market sell-off. But I think Costco down here took out a VPOC. This was a setup that I sent out and a trade idea I sent out earlier in the day to members. But basically, this is what I'm doing. And, of course, if you're looking to check out Tribeca Trade Group, you can get in for a 1-week trial. But this is something that I'm doing now on a day-to-day basis, right around 11:30 of the day, just giving you a sense of what I like on the day, what the option activity is for so far for the first 2 hour and a half, 2 hours of the day, and giving you the themes about what's going on, and as well giving you some trade ideas. All right, so that's part of the membership, and that's what you get. So if you're a part-time trader, I think you will get very good commentary. But you can go to our website and check that out. What was the other name that I was going to mention? Yeah, here's I'm fine to give you the trade idea that I mentioned for Home Depot earlier. Bounce trade reports on 11/13. You could sell premium here, which I think is a really good idea. Considering that if volatility starts coming in a little bit, your option prices, if you're long premium, will go in. So I'm really looking to sell premium in a lot of places here. All right, so that's it. One day is not a trend, but I really like today's price action in different sectors coming to life. If we happen to even chop around for the rest of the week, that would not be too bad. I didn't mention Facebook. Facebook, and I'll give you my earnings plays. I'm always happy to kind of give you what I trade rather than what you see on Twitter all the time, which is not that. People doing after the fact type things. But I did not trade Facebook. I did think Facebook was washed out. But here was my opinion. I did Zen, which is not working right now, but I've got till November. Initial reaction was good, but I think it's now lower in the after hours. I think Facebook is pretty washed out, and the bad news is priced in. It's my take. I did FDN, which is what I call the FANG ETF. I bought a call spread and I shorted a put spread. I did that for basically a small net debit. And so if I really don't have much exposure to the FANG group right now, so this was a trade, and this is what I put. I said, keep in mind I have no exposure to the FANG stocks right now. So hopefully that trade will work out. But again, happy to show you all my trades as normal. Thanks for watching the video. Have a great night. See you tomorrow.